Everyone is watching AI. NVIDIA, AMD, chips, data centers everywhere. Every headline right now, every trading group, every video online is fighting over the exact same story. But while everyone stares at the same handful of tech tickers, what if the more interesting setup is actually happening somewhere else? Gold and silver. And here's the part that might surprise you. AI itself might actually be part of that story. Stay with me here, because this connection isn't obvious right away. AI booms need massive data centers. Data centers need power, wiring, and electronics. And that chain eventually runs straight into silver. I'm not going to explain all of that at once, because on its own, that connection means nothing. A story without confirmation isn't a trade. It's just a theory. So before we get there, let's actually look at what's happening with gold and silver right now, based on real evidence instead of hype. Let's start with gold. Gold isn't some forgotten metal sitting quietly at the bottom of the market, waiting to be rediscovered. It already made a major move in 2026. So the real question isn't whether gold is cheap. The real question is, after a move like that, what could actually push it even further from here? A few things matter: interest rates, the strength of the dollar, global uncertainty, and central bank demand. That last one is worth slowing down for. According to the World Gold Council's 2026 Central Bank Gold Reserve Survey, 89% of central banks expect global gold reserves to keep increasing, and 45% expect their own country's reserves specifically to grow. That's a real, measurable signal. But here's the part most people skip. Demand from central banks doesn't automatically mean higher prices. Demand and price are two very different things. One can rise while the other stays completely flat. So we take note of it, but we don't assume it. Now, let's talk about silver, because silver might actually have the more interesting story here. Silver basically lives two separate lives. On one side, it's a precious metal, just like gold, something people hold on to during uncertain times. But on the other side, it's an industrial metal. It shows up in electronics, in cars, in power infrastructure, in solar panels, and yes, in data centers and AI hardware too. According to the Silver Institute, that industrial demand is a real and growing part of the silver story. But we have to be careful here, because it's easy to take that one step too far. AI expanding does not automatically mean silver prices explode. What it does mean is that AI and data center growth can add to the industrial demand silver already sees across several sectors at once. That's it. That's the honest version of the claim. Nothing more dramatic than that. And this next part is exactly why AI traders, people who normally only care about chip stocks, should actually be paying attention to silver too. Think about it this way. AI doesn't exist inside a stock ticker. It isn't just a company name sitting on a chart. AI is chips. Chips need servers. Servers need data centers. Data centers need electrical infrastructure, and that infrastructure needs physical materials to actually function, things like wiring and conductivity and components. Silver is one of those materials. So the AI trade isn't just chips, it's the entire physical backbone sitting underneath the chips. That's the connection. That's why any of this matters in the first place. But, and this is important, here's where we need to slow down and be honest. None of this means AI is booming, therefore buy silver. I want to be really clear about that because it's the easiest mistake anyone can make here. A story is not a trade. A story plus confirmation is a setup. Those are two very different things, and mixing them up is exactly how people end up losing money chasing a narrative instead of actually reading the market in front of them. In fact, the Silver Institute's own 2026 outlook expects total industrial silver use to decline by roughly 2%. Partly because manufacturers are finding ways to use less silver in solar panels through substitution. That's a real headwind, and I'm not hiding it from you, because a story that only shows you the bullish side isn't analysis, it's marketing. And we're not here to sell you a narrative, we're here to actually think it through together. So where does that leave us? Not with a prediction, with a watch list. Here's what I'd actually be watching from here. First, gold. Is momentum genuinely coming back, or is it just chopping sideways without direction? Second, silver. Is it starting to show relative strength on its own, separate from what gold is doing? Third, the dollar and bond yields. Are macro conditions actually turning supportive, or are they still working against the metals? And fourth, the mining stocks. Because if the underlying metals are moving, but the miners aren't confirming that move, that's a warning sign worth paying attention to. Individually, none of these signals mean much on their own. But if gold, silver, and the miners all start confirming together, that's when this stops being a story and starts becoming something worth paying attention to. Of course, it's only fair to ask the opposite question too. What could break this whole idea completely? If economic growth stays strong, if yields keep climbing, if the dollar keeps getting stronger, if investors keep piling aggressively into risk without hesitation, gold could stay under pressure longer than this story suggests. That's the honest downside, and it deserves just as much attention as the upside. So instead of asking whether gold has to go higher, the better question is, what conditions would actually make this trade more interesting? That small shift changes everything about how you approach a market like this. Because honestly, the biggest mistake a trader can make isn't picking the wrong asset. It's getting married to one single story and refusing to look anywhere else. AI can keep running strong at the exact same time another opportunity quietly builds somewhere completely different. Gold has its own macro story. Silver has a macro story and an industrial one layered right on top of it. And AI itself, through all that physical infrastructure underneath it, adds even more demand into that picture. These things aren't in competition with each other. They can all be true at the same time. So for right now, we're not predicting anything at all. We're simply watching the price and letting the market speak first. Don't predict. Wait for confirmation. If you want more breakdowns like this one, connections most people miss long before they become obvious to everyone else, that's exactly what we do over at GOAT Alpha Alerts. So go ahead and subscribe if that sounds like you. And if you want to follow the actual levels, trade setups, and market ideas we're tracking in real time, the Discord link is sitting right below this video. Trade smart, manage your risk carefully, and I will see you in the very next one.